people in your life. You're literally the devil, Mike. We rebuke you in the name of Jesus. We're not scared of you. When we go to war, when we go to spiritual warfare, I promise you, you're going to be stomped.
Do you believe in aliens? Well, I have a video of this on my YouTube, but I think that it is becoming more, in science, it's becoming more likely that aliens are very common. I think that's the trend in science, that the more we learn about life and what it is, it seems to be very common, because we're finding a lot of planets out there that have conditions that could allow for life, even in our own solar system. Enceladus, Titan, right? Mars, moons of Saturn might even have life on it. It's very possible, because we know that life emerged quickly on Earth, right? It only took about 15 million years for life to really emerge. How close are we to finding life on other planets? Very close. I think that within our lifetimes, we'll find life on probably Enceladus. In fact, we found a few biosignatures recently in, well, not only Enceladus, but other exoplanets. I think it was like a month ago or so, we actually found a specific sodium phosphate or something. But basically, it's a biosignature of life. It's something that only living things we know of today can produce. So the more we investigate exoplanets, I think we're going to find lots of life out there. Now, the problem is that most life out there is likely going to be microbial, right? It's not going to be like us, because getting to us took 4 billion years. Remember, getting from microbes to humans took 4 billion years. And we could have went extinct many times, right? We are barely hanging on this planet. So when we look around, the universe is only about 13 billion years. If there's life, it's either way older than us or not quite to our level. So it's possible that if there's aliens out there, they could be billions of years ahead of us. And in that sense, they could be all around us, but we just don't see them because they're invisible, right? They have technology that allows them to be invisible. I mean, that's possible. But I don't know. It's interesting that we haven't really seen any evidence of life out there yet, given how big the universe is and how many possibilities there are. What is the biggest source of protein you recommend if you're on a bulk? Honestly, just eat lots of fucking beans and shit, like lentils. I know milks. There's protein powders you can get, but I know that there's a lot of protein in milks, like oat milks and almond milks. But you can always just get protein powders. But I think the best protein sources are like just eating food, like whole foods. I would love to see the video on Q-Top and Mike. It's on my YouTube, link in bio. Go check it out. Why don't I go live on my main account? Because they're both banned. You live on mock burgers and pasta? Yeah, that's another one. You got plant-based like burgers. Well, you got like those kinds of Impossible burgers and stuff. Those are good too. Come on up if you think God is real. Come on up. Epic debate. Intelligence comes from intelligence except God. Yeah. He couldn't. Q-Top, I asked that to Q. He couldn't answer. They're so funny how it's so easy. They're so easy, right? Their arguments are so bad. It's so hilarious. But they think they're so big, right? They think they're so good. But yeah, there is no good argument for God. The only thing that really keeps people believing in God is the fact that the universe is mysterious. And I agree. The universe is mysterious, and there's a lot of questions we have about it. And that mystery kind of gives people, like, it kind of makes people think that there's something beyond what we observe, right? And they love to imagine from there. But I think that you're cutting yourself short when you say it's God, because I think there's something even more grander than God out there. I guarantee you that there's something about the universe that will blow our minds. Like, it will completely blow our minds. Like, imagine going imagine going 1,000 years ago, time traveling to 1,000 years ago, and telling somebody that there are black holes that suck up things in space and they exist in curvatures of space-time, and they're infinitely dense, and time stops at the center of them, and when you go faster through time in space, it slows down for you. Like, imagine telling that to somebody, and imagine thinking that that was real. They would never believe you. So I think that trend will continue, even in a more exponential way. I think in the future, 1,000 years from now, the universe will be even more crazy relative to us today. Even more wondrous things about it. And that's my prediction. He said most atheists run from him. Bro, he doesn't know what philosophy means. He has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't. J. Mike tried to talk to him about the initial state, the Oppie's initial state. He couldn't even grasp that. He didn't understand that initial states exist in all times and that there is no cause to it. There's no beginning to these things. He couldn't even grasp that.
Thank you for taking my request. Your statement here says God is an imaginary. Well, the same like you. Now you are imaginary to me. Your image is coming to the picture, but that's just an image of you. You are imaginary. What's the difference between God being imaginary and you being imaginary? Can you explain to me?
I have a birth certificate.
You have a birth, which means that you are a created being. You didn't exist since all existence, right?
Yeah, I didn't exist forever this
Which
way,
means that there's somebody or someone or someone's who put you into existence. Gods, if you want to go say that. Your mom
okay,
and your dad created you. Am I
okay.
right?
And who created God?
Answer me. You are a created being, right?
Oh, okay. Who created
So
God?
you are
Okay, great. Who
imaginary.
created?
Are you a real person or imaginary person?
I'm real now. Now, what? Who created God?
You say you are real. Prove to me you are real. I can't touch you. I can't feel
Okay.
you.
I know you can't touch me, but I mean, I have a birth certificate. I can show you that I exist. I can give you
That
evidence.
doesn't mean you are real. My dog has a birth certificate. So
Yeah,
does
I can give you a birth certificate, photos, videos. I can go to your house, right?
that doesn't mean a
There's no
thing. You know, do you know what's the number one crime in the world today?
what?
Do you
What's the
know what
problem?
the number one crime in the world today?
What?
It's identity theft. You know what identity theft is? Somebody assumes your identity and starts dealing, calling, making sales as if it were you. You understand what that means? Have you ever been identity theft? You know what that means?
Hello.
Hey, what do you got?
Okay. Yeah, I think God is not imaginary.
Okay, great. What's your evidence for God?
Everything has a cause.
Okay, who caused God?
He's eternal.
Okay, so why can't we just say the universe is eternal? Why do we need God?
Prove the universe is eternal.
I didn't say I can prove it, just like you can't prove God, right?
Okay, so
I
it's
asked
more.
you, is it possible that the universe is eternal? Is it logically possible?
I don't know.
Okay, then why do you say it must be God then?
Because it's more. Because typically God would make more sense. Because we don't, unless you assume that the universe always existed. I never seen evidence pointing to that, so I just assume that it's God, just off logical assumption.
Okay, what logic points to God existing?
Okay, so it's described God to be eternal within the Bible, right? and we have no evidence of the universe being eternal. The only evidence we have of you being eternal is you saying it's eternal, right? So I just
I
assume.
love how you say there's no evidence of the universe being eternal, and then you give no evidence of God. You just say God did it, right? Your
I
argument
get
is
back to
literally
it.
God did it. That's your argument, right?
My
So
argument
I
is
don't have to. So I don't have to provide you evidence of a God of the universe being eternal because it's a logical possibility that space time are eternal. That's a possibility. It doesn't define
okay,
laws of logic,
and
right?
no, wait, prove that they're internal.
So I don't have to prove it to you. It's a
Yes,
possibility.
you do.
I can't prove it. You're right.
Yes.
I can't
Okay.
prove it to you,
How did you
but that's
derive
not
that?
relevant.
How did you derive that possibility?
Logic, right? It doesn't
Okay,
define
that's
any
a
laws of
circular
logic.
response. Obviously, we're assuming logic to be true for you to derive a possibility. So don't say logic justifies logic. What about the logic?
Does logic?
Okay, what about what
does.
about the logic? Because I could just say, well, God is internal because logic said so.
No, see, I never said the universe is eternal because logic says so. I said it's a possibility
No,
that
I'm
the
using
universe.
your own argument against you. You're just saying that you said, I quote unquote, why is it logical? You said, because of logic. So I can just simply say the God being internal is logical, and because it's logic. That's my justification.
No, because God's ill-defined. The universe is defined. That's the
Okay, here, I
difference.
got you. I got you this one. I think God's internal because of my intuition. I think it's intuitive.
Okay, that doesn't tell us anything that God is real. What's God? You have yet to define
Yeah,
God.
I'm
Yeah,
giving you
you have
intuitive
yet to show us
justification.
that there's logic behind God.
I'm giving you intuitive justification.
That's not justification. You can't just
It's
intuit
intuitive
truth.
justification.
You
It's my
can't
intuition.
intuit truth.
Wait, so you don't, so when you make logical arguments, you don't use logic as intuition?
No, logic is
Okay,
analytical.
so then
Like when we do
so when you
logic,
make
it's
logical
analytical.
wait, so when you make logical arguments, you don't use logic?
I just told you yes, we use logic, but
Okay, so
logic
then my
is
intuition.
analytical.
Okay, so
It's
when I
not
make intuitions,
intuition.
it's off logic.
Logic
So
is
it
not
is intuitive
intuition.
justification. Say
Sir,
what?
can you listen? Can you listen?
What?
Okay. Logic is not intuition.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
How is
When you make
logic
when
intuition?
you make logical arguments, you already intuit logic.
No. Intuition is
So
not
when you make
logic.
logical arguments, you don't use logic?
Logic is the systematic language we use to describe things and how they work.
Okay, and you presuppose
Intuition
that
is not descriptive.
and when you make
Intuition is when you
intuition, you
think
use logic.
and believe and it
So
feels
when you
something.
make intuitions, you don't use logic?
No, we're using our
Oh, so
beliefs.
then
We just
okay,
believe
so then you
something. We
don't have a
think, we
logical
feel.
argument.
Sir, listen. When I intuit something, it just feels correct to me. I'm not using
Argument's wrong.
what argument?
Your argument's off your intuition.
No, it's
Is it
not. I never even invoked intuition here. I said logically
So then your
speaking.
argument means nothing then.
What's my argument?
You made the intuition that God's imaginary.
I never said that.
Oh, so God's not imaginary. So we agree.
For
Oh,
several
so you are
logical
making the claim
reasons.
then.
Can I speak now?
Are you
Okay.
making the claim or not?
Yeah, and I can back it up with
Okay,
logic.
so then,
right?
then you're disagreeing. So you are making an argument.
Okay. So the reason why I say God's imaginary is
So
because
you're
it
making an argument.
So the reason why I say God's imaginary is because it defies laws of logic, right?
So you're
So,
making
for
an argument.
example, the omni paradox, right? That defies logic.
Wait, why is
That
God
can't
bounded by
exist.
logic?
What?
Why is God bounded by logic? And also, you just made an argument, so you are using intuition. But besides
So
that, why
are you
is
saying
God
that
bound by logic?
are you saying that God is beyond logic?
Yes,
So God can exist and not exist at the same time?
that's not what I mean by that.
Can God be a married bachelor?
Okay, you're bounding him. Your conclusion, you're already bounding him by logic. The whole point, he's not bound by logic. So
Okay, so if he's not bound by logic, then that means God can defy logic.
You applying
God can exist and not exist at the same time.
No, God has his own logical structure that allows him to exist and always exist. And I got that from my intuitive feeling.
Okay, great. So what's this logic that God has, and how does God defy our logic?
It's my intuition.
What do you mean it's your intuition? What does that mean?
That's something intuitively I think.
That doesn't make it true.
Yeah, it's intuitive justification.
That doesn't make it true. It's not justification to intuit something.
So you don't use logic and intuition?
No, I don't use intuition when it comes to truth about reality.
So you don't have an argument?
Why would I need an argument?
Because your
What's the
argument is based
argument
off your
for?
intuition.
What?
Your reason is based off your intuition.
My reasoning is based on logic, right? The
And
logic.
which you can intuitive. You can
How
have
do
an
you?
intuition with
Okay.
logic.
How do you intuit logic? What does that mean?
Okay, so when you make an intuition, you can evolve logic inside of it.
When you make an intuition, you what?
You can use logic inside of it.
You can use logic inside of it.
Yes.
What? I don't understand what that means.
Okay, so if I make an intuition about something, my intuition can be based off the logic I know.
No,
So if I make
that's logic. You're using logic at that point.
but
Intuition
you're
is
also
not
making
logic.
an intuition.
Logic is not intuition. They're
So
different.
when you make an intuition, you don't evolve logic.
No.
Give an intuition right now without using logic.
I intuit that the earth is round. The earth is flat. That's not logic.
Oh, wait, so you're saying that's not logical?
No, it's a belief, right? It's just
Oh,
merely a
beliefs
belief.
can't be logical?
Beliefs can be logical if there's
So you're
logic
saying your
behind
belief
them.
is wrong then?
But I'm
You're
not
making
using
illogical
logic by
beliefs.
its. I'm not using logic by merely having an intuition.
So your
You
intuition
can
is
use
illogical.
you can use intuition and logic to come to a conclusion, sure. But
Wait.
that
So
would
what you're
but that's
saying
not what you're
is
doing, right? With God. There's intuition
Hold
and
on.
logic
Wait,
are two different
hold the
things.
phone. Hold the phone. So when you say God is imaginary, you're not using logic with that intuition.
It's not an intuition. It's logic.
So
Pure
you don't
logic.
think it then?
What?
You don't think it? What do you think intuition is?
Logic is the thought process.
What do you think intuition is?
It's a belief. It's a
Okay, so
feeling. A belief dictated by
So
feelings.
you don't believe God is imaginary then?
I believe based on logic.
Okay, meaning that you're intuitively thinking something because
No, intuition is based on feeling. Logic is based on logic and evidence.
Wait. You can't use feeling with logic?
Oh my gosh, it's like you don't listen to me. Yes, you can use intuition and
Okay,
logic.
so then you are making an argument.
Oh my gosh, can you listen? Can you shut up for the
I
fucking
do have
second?
ears.
Can you
Maybe you
shut
should
the
shut
fuck
up.
up for a second?
Maybe you
Okay.
should shut the fuck up. How about
Okay. You can use logic and intuition to
better
come to
fucking you
conclusions.
me?
You can use logic and intuition to come to conclusions. But when it comes to God, you're only using intuition. You're using no logic for God. So that's why I'm asking you for evidence of your God.
Right.
And so far, you've given me nothing.
Away from the
The reason why I say God's imaginary is
Stop.
because he defies logical. There's no logical consistency to God.
Stop
I
running.
give you examples of the omniparadoxes.
Stop
The
running.
lack of evidence is evidence of absence when it comes to God.
Boy.
So, now's your chance to give us a reason for God. What's your reasoning for God?
It's because of my intuition.
Okay, what intuition tells you that God is real?
My intuitive one.
What? What intuition, what belief do you have that demonstrates God is real?
God.
Okay, have a good day, sir. Oh man, I tried, guys. I tried. Hey,
Hello.
what do you got?
Okay, so before we start, can you give me a reason on why you think God isn't real? Because if you don't provide a reason, that is just argument for ignorance.
And the God defies logical things like the omniparadox, other things like that to demonstrate God isn't real, depending on the definition.
Okay, yeah, I can totally see what you're talking about. But before we actually start, I'm not aware what is the Omni paradox? Just inform me real quick.
Like God is omnipotent or omniscient, he knows all. it is contradictory to things like free will and other things.
Well, I don't really see how that's contradictory because somebody can be omnipotent, like a comic book writer. He knows what's gonna happen, but he doesn't, you know, alter their moves. They still have their moves, but it's not like he altered them.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
it's
So
kind of hard to explain,
no, I
something like
understand what
that.
you're saying. And the problem is that it doesn't matter. I'm not saying that God is the causal mechanism that determines us to not have free will. What I'm saying is that the fact that God knows the future means the future cannot change, which means that there's only one outcome for the future, which means that I can't choose otherwise. I can't choose to do anything other than what God knows I will do. Now, there's some deterministic factor at work here. Whether it's God or not, it's irrelevant. But the point is that God's foreknowledge is incompatible with free will, anybody's free will.
Okay, well, yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. This is gonna be pretty hard to explain. I might sound stupid while trying to explain it. Foreknowledge, it it does kind of contradict the whole thought of free will and such, but I personally think that God knows what you're gonna do based off of personality, than not just foreknowledge. He knows you better than you know yourself in a way. So of course he's gonna have foreknowledge, but he's gonna know what you're gonna do based off personality. It's really hard to explain. I can't really explain it.
God is going to repeat that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's also based on foreknowledge, of course. God knows everything, but it's also based off of personality. If I know your personality, I can probably guess something that you're gonna do, regardless of what you say that you're gonna do. That's just based off of personality, and it really doesn't matter. Just because God has foreknowledge, that doesn't mean that you can't choose your own path. You have free will to choose your own path, just like
Okay, great.
atheists are
So
able to
how
choose.
about this? How about let me
They
go?
can
How
choose
about this? How about
atheists.
let me give an example. Tomorrow, God knows that tomorrow I'm going to eat pizza for lunch. Now, when tomorrow comes, do I have the free will to choose a bagel for lunch instead of a pizza?
Yeah, but
Oh,
you don't. That's the
so I
thing.
can choose the bagel. I can choose the bagel, and God will be wrong.
No, the thing is, if you end up not choosing the pizza, that doesn't mean God was wrong. He already foresaw it. Me,
Yeah, if
people say
God
God is
knows.
all knowing and He knows everything. If you say that you're gonna
Oh
eat
my
the
gosh,
pizza and you eat the bagel, okay, okay,
okay. Let me make it very simple for you. If God knows I will buy pizza, I can't pick anything else because if God is wrong about pizza, then God don't have knowledge of future.
once again, this just turns back to the same thing I said. He knows you better than you know yourself. You have the free will to buy pizza. He just knows you enough to know that you're going to buy pizza. That, and also he knows that you're just going to get pizza.
Okay, that's
Really,
not
it's really
addressing the
hard to
argument.
explain.
That's not addressing the argument. It's irrelevant if God knows what's happening, right? I, the problem is that the future is set in stone and can't be changed. If the future is set in stone and cannot be changed, how can I fucking change it? I can't change the future if God knows it will happen, and God can't be wrong. So if I choose a bagel instead of the pizza, then God's wrong about the future.
Okay, yeah, yeah. This is actually pretty tough. I think from the way that you're seeing it is that you're trying to wrap your head around it like, shit. How do I word this? I think you're trying to think of God as he has limited mind space. He doesn't have limited mind space. He there.
I just can't. At some point, you just gotta go. Like you just gotta kick him out.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what do you got?
Yo, what's up, Mike? I just want to say I really want to have a tickle fight with you, man. Maybe some hand holding. I don't know, man.
Bibble bubble Bible babble. Wow, that was very annoying. Keep tapping, keep tapping. Hopefully we'll get more people in soon. This is pretty sad. Everybody follow my YouTube, link in bio. I have all my debates there. I have interviews, lots of great videos. Go follow. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers. I want to get there very quick. Do the BBB. Beep, 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 beep. That. We need more topics. Why is this guy coming up? I blocked him 8 times. Do you feel like you are babysitting? Yeah, every night. You guys have no idea how like tiring these things are, but I do it for people watching, right? I do it because there's a fight to be had. Somebody's got to talk up, right? Speak up. What is the best way someone can improve their life? Knowledge, learning, understanding. Knowledge is the key to everything. Experiences. Knowledge, but also not being scared to learn, right? So you can't be scared to learn. And you got to stop having so many expectations. You know, when you expect so many things and they tend to go wrong and you get upset and sad and you stop caring. You stop being motivated. Do you think one day we'll reach perfection? I don't know what that word means. What do you mean perfection? Very ambiguous.
Hello?
Yeah.
Are you a Southern Baptist Christian? It's the only way.
I'm a Southern Baptist.
That's right. It's the only way.
It's the only way. I have a degree in geoscience.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on the topic. I think God is actually imaginary as well.
So why'd you come up?
I'm not too sure.
We love Christian, Muslim, like, yeah, it takes a lot of energy to do those lives. You guys have no idea how tiring these lives are. It takes a lot of energy from you to deal with the idiocy, to deal with all that toxicity. What was your high school GPA? I don't know. I was bored in school. I didn't like school. I still hate it. It's boring. School's boring. How do you know where to get reliable information? You understand what sources are, what kind of sources they are. Are they peer reviewed? Are they scientific? Do they have the methodology? Do they follow structure? Do they account for all variables? Learn the scientific method. How old are you? 29. What college did you go to? I'm not going to tell you that, but it's a well-known college. I met some great people there, some great scientists, had some very good professors. College is really where it's at. High school sucks. Like elementary school is terrible. College is pretty cool because you're more free, but you're 29 to August 94. I'm a member on your main. Cool, thank you. Keep tapping. Let's get more people. See if we can get. If we can't get debates, I don't know. The education system's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, and the educational system is based on grades, right? Whoever can get the best grade, and what that means is whoever can follow the most rules, they win, right? Whoever can match the most things correctly or fill in the bubbles correctly, they win. It's not teaching you critical thinking skills. It's not teaching you how to think, right? It's not teaching you how to go from no knowledge to, new knowledge without, reading a piece of paper to do it, right? Thinking on your own independently, critical thinking skills. That's kind of missing from school these days. And yeah, there's no excitement, right? It's boring. And that's the saddest part, right? School should not be boring. Learning should not be boring. Learning should be a fun experience, right? Where you're mind blown every day. Wow, okay, let's poke this. It's like you should be a child poking a pond or jumping in a puddle and banging pots and pans together or digging holes. That's what school should be like. School should be where you go and you explore. You explore things you like, you explore your passions, and you try to be useful, try to do something useful. That's what school should be like. And I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault, but anybody in particular. I think there's cumulative reasons why this has happened, but obviously we need a new direction. And I think that hopefully AI, which is a more personal, more curated thing, could perhaps maybe teach people better than people can. Maybe AI can actually help us more, because I'm not saying that people can't teach well, but I'm saying that there's a lot of people today and very few teachers. And it's not a very personal experience for people in school, right? You're sometimes in classes with 100 people. How personal can a teacher be when they have 100 students in one class, let alone, 4, 5, 6 classes? So if we can utilize AI to kind of aid that and get a more personal experience, a more curated experience for people in education, I think that's a good thing to look forward to. Hello?
Hello?
How old are you?
18.
What year were you born?
2005.
What's a W2? Okay. How do you explain the odds of us existing? It's a probability we can't even fathom. Yeah, and that's the problem. You can't fathom the probability of us being here because we only have one universe to look at, right? Our sample size is too small. It's one. We have one universe to look at. You can't assess the probability of us existing because the chance of us existing could be one out of 1,000. It could be one out of 1,000,000,000. It could be one out of one. Maybe this is the only universe. Maybe this is the only possible universe, and that's it. The chances of us being here is 100%. We couldn't have been otherwise. We can't begin to assess the probability of us existing at all. Because in order to do that, we would have to have multiple other worlds to compare and contrast with. You know, the only reason why we can invoke probability is if we know all outcomes. So, for example, when I have a die in my hand and I go to roll it, I know that there's 6 sides to it, hence 6 numbers. So I know that rolling a 5, I have a 1 out of 6 chance of doing that. So if I roll a 4, 1 in 6, I can multiply this. If I use 2 dice, I can see the chance of rolling certain numbers in pairs, and that has even a lower probability. The point is that you need to know all the possible outcomes in order to assess probability. That's why you can't use probability when it comes to God or the universe. We can't. We don't know the probability. It could be 1 out of 1. It could be 1 out of 1,000,000,000. And if to make it worse, if the universe is infinite, well, now every possible universe is actualized. Hence, it's inevitable that you would have a universe like ours if everything's possible and everything happens in an infinite universe, multiverse. So I think that, using improbability is a very bad argument for anything. And I understand the motive for saying that because it seems improbable to us, right? It seems weird that we exist this way. It seems weird that we're conscious and we experience. It seems peculiar, right? It seems interesting. And when we make these probability statements, we're kind of comparing ourselves to other things in the world, like stars and space, right? A very vast space. So we think we're rare because we happen to be the only ones as far as we can see. But there's no reason to think that we are somehow special or that there's something special about us existing. It's amazing. I agree with you that life is amazing, but it doesn't mean God did it. And this is, like I said before, one of the biggest reasons why people believe in God, because they just can't fathom existence. And I agree. It's hard to fathom how we exist, why we exist. But maybe these questions are the wrong ones to ask, right? Maybe asking why are we here? That's like asking what's at the edge of the earth. There is no edge of the earth. It's a dumb question to ask. Maybe that's what we're doing. Right? In our ignorance, we're asking these bad questions and making ourselves more important than we are, right? Would the center of a black hole be considered the end of time as we know it? No. Time doesn't end. So Einstein thought of time as a fabric, like space. Space and time are woven into one fabric. And it curves. And any change in time is curvature, right? Any change in time that we perceive is curvature of this fabric. The point is that what we perceive as time is what we perceive as the changing of time, right? The passage of time, the flow of time seems to be an illusion. time doesn't necessarily pass or flow. Turns out the universe is more complex than that. It's very counterintuitive, relativity, very counterintuitive. But it's real, and that's the most amazing part about science. It's real. These things are really in existence. Black holes really exist. It defies our understanding of things, but it really exists. And that's the trend that we're seeing. Where did humans first come from? I just made a video about this yesterday on my YouTube. Go to my YouTube and subscribe. And I just made a video about this. There was no first person. There was no first person. We didn't come from somewhere. We have evolved just like everything else, and evolution's always happening. There's no start to it. It's just merely a process. Did Einstein believe the universe was pixelated? I don't know what that means. Well, Einstein did not know how to describe things smaller than the Planck length. He didn't understand. Relativity breaks down at the Planck length, right? So when we describe space-time, we describe it in geodesics. These are lines that go through space-time. And the problem is that places like a black hole, the geodesics get so small that we don't understand what happens at those places. And that's why we're so confused about black holes, because relativity can't explain. We can't explain it with the physics we have. We need something different. We need quantum mechanics, which goes deeper. It's a more fundamental explanation. And that's crazy. This is mind-boggling stuff. People have no idea how crazy this stuff is, how counterintuitive quantum mechanics is. Was Carl Sagan an atheist? Well, Carl Sagan never wanted to call himself an atheist because he thought atheists were people who say there is no God and they're absolutely sure about it. But he definitely did not believe in a God. He was very skeptical. And yeah, he would consider himself an agnostic. But yeah, I would say he was if he was alive today, I guarantee you he'd be more outspoken about it. But yeah. What is driving us to exist? Why do our cells not want to die? Well, that's a great question, right? You know, why is life this way? Well, it seems to be that life is, it has to do with entropy. Life happens to be a very good way to dissipate energy. Very efficient way of doing that. Absorbing energy and dissipating it. And it seems to be that that's what life is. There's some physical phenomenon that explains why we are this way in every cellular activity. It's beyond, I don't understand it too much to explain it, but it has to do with entropy. I'm not a biologist though. But yeah, it's a very good question. But yeah, life is amazing. It really is amazing. Understanding biology and biochemistry is amazing. Wow, nobody wants to come up. Nobody. Who's smarter, Isaac Newton and Einstein? I don't like that question because, like assessing smartness is very difficult to do. When you say somebody's smart, it's ambiguous. What does it mean to be smart? But in terms of contributions, I think Isaac Newton made a huge contribution. He invented calculus, right? He invented an entire mathematical subject. That's incredible. That takes a lot of intelligence to do. Einstein was a visionary in the terms of he could imagine things in his mind to a way more superior way than anybody else could. He had a very good visual system in his mind. And he made lots of contributions. But comparing the two is very difficult, but I would say that they're both amazing. All scientists are amazing. We tend to look at these guys as Isaac Newton, and they were great, but we always tend to forget the average scientist who doesn't get enough credit, right? The average scientist who does make contributions in today's world where they kind of get drowned out by all the noise. But there's a lot of technology and a lot of science that goes behind cars and phones and TVs and planes. Those take a lot of science. And we kind of tend to underestimate the genius behind these engineers and scientists behind these things. Thoughts on Nikola Tesla? Tesla was a weird guy. He was a smart guy, but he was a great inventor. Many of his ideas were bad. Okay, they just stunk. They were bad, but a lot of his ideas were very interesting. His Tesla coil technology, his AC. He pretty much invented a alternate current. But the problem is that he was very mentally ill. He was schizophrenic. He would count his toes every morning. He would fall in love with birds. I don't think he ever had a spouse. He had all these inventions and all these ideas. He didn't do anything with them. He didn't know how to market them, right? So when Edison came around, he took advantage of Tesla. Edison took advantage of Tesla's invention. And he kind of got drowned out by the business marketing aspect of Edison. Tesla was a vegetarian, I believe. I don't think he electrocuted animals. That was Edison. Edison did that to the animals. But unfortunately, Edison won because we all use his electric stuff. But people tend to overestimate Tesla because they think he was this amazing inventor, which he was, but he wasn't. He didn't have many of his ideas about giving free energy. That was not feasible. It was never going to happen. It couldn't have happened. It wouldn't work. So a lot of people give credit to Tesla for these things that never actually would have worked. Hey, what do you got? Hello? The Great Pyramids were used for free electricity. No, that's nonsense. There's no such thing as free electricity. It's nonsense. It's never going to happen. Energy doesn't come free. Energy always has an expense. And not just financially, right? But like physically. Wow, we have no guests today.
God's real, bud.
Great. What's your evidence for it?
Look around, Mike. Look at the trees. We're alive. Beautiful moments. I bet you don't know how to debunk.
What do you got? Well, this is sad. Nobody wants to play. It's too late. Come on, guys. I need content for my YouTube. Is everybody subscribed to my YouTube? I'm going to get to 2,000 by tonight. Everybody go subscribe. Link in bio. You changed our minds? What do you mean? Why is yawning contagious? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think it has to do with some kind of social thing. I don't know. I have to look into that more. Probably has some evolutionary reason. Perhaps yawning actually does help you get more oxygen to the brain, right? Because you're tired, you get more oxygen. Perhaps that was beneficial for people who did that. So perhaps that's why. I don't know. It's probably very simple. Thoughts on conspiracy theories. It's nonsense. Friendly converted a Christian last night. Dude was brought to tears. It was really? He converted him from atheist to Christian. I believe in God now. He's all around us. What was the argument that got him? Like, what was the argument that convinced him? Mirror neurons in the brain are thought to be a mechanism behind contagious yawning. Okay. Yeah, obviously it has to do with the brain, but like why, right? Like what's the reasoning? What's the mechanism, right? Well, not the mechanism, but what's the reasoning? It was a long talk basically about contradictions in the Bible. Well, it takes a lot of guys. You guys have to remember, it takes a lot of balls to leave religion. It does. Like, you got to have balls to leave religion, okay? And remember, some of these people that believe in God have believed it their entire lives. Their family believes it. Their entire families, right? It's so personal to somebody. They hold, like, it's like a pet. It's like a brother to them, right? It's like a family member. Their religion. That's how powerful these things are to people. So that's why I tend to be very aggressive and abrasive, because I want to break that barrier as soon as I can. I don't want it to be intense like that. I don't want it to be emotional. It shouldn't have to be that way, right? I want to make people realize that your religion isn't that special, right? Quickly from the get-go. The only problem is people respond with anger, right? But yes, it takes a lot of strength to leave religion, and it takes a lot of brain power. Just admit it, Mike. Friendly's better than you. I'm not here to say that I'm the best. I'm not a debater. I'm an activist. Rebuke him in the name of Jesus. Oh, buddy, you're delusional.
I think you're delusional, Mike. You're only 7% of the population. There's 87% of the world that believes in it.
So what's your best argument for God?
What is your argument that God doesn't exist?
You can take a look at the omni paradoxes, the lack of evidence.
Sure, so break it down for me, because you can just name things off, but let me hear your actual evidence for there's not God, because I can promise you that you stick to the Big Bang. And I want to know, Mike, was there matter before the time of the Big Bang?
There was no before the Big Bang.
So non-life created life?
Life is a collection of non-life.
Answer my question. Did non-life create life then, Mike? You have the burden of proof as an atheist.
Non-life was what yields.
As Christians, we rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Okay, that's cute. Now, the fact of reality is that abiogenesis.
The reality is we don't lose anything as Christians. You lose everything if you go against Jesus.
Well, you lose brain power. You lose rationality.
You lose nothing.
Logic,
so
right?
Explain to me, Mike, what was before the Big Bang?
There was no before the Big Bang.
Okay, so was there matter before the Big Bang?
There was no before the Big Bang.
So non-life can create life. When have we ever seen this replicated in science, Mike?
Yeah, it's called abiogenesis. We have evidence behind it.
So tell me about abiogenesis. What does that mean?
Sure. So it's called organic chemistry, where you have things like amino acids come together to form peptides, and these peptides.
So are amino acids material, Mike?
Yep.
Okay, so if that's matter, if that's material, what was before the Big Bang? You're saying there was nothing. There had to have been some type of material before the time of the Big Bang.
You're not understanding. There was no before. That's like asking what's at the edge of the earth. It's not a good question, right?
No, it is, because we could tell you what's at the edge of the earth, because we understand that the earth's round, right?
There is no edge to a round thing.
Right. So there's an answer to that, correct? What's the answer?
What's the matter?
Mike, what was the matter before the time of the Big Bang? You have the burden of proof as an atheist. There's only 7% of you in the world. You lose everything if you don't believe in Jesus. You lose everything if you don't believe in Jesus.
Jesus was a terrorist. Okay, Jesus killed people. He murdered people, and he promoted rape. Now, when it comes to the Big Bang, there was no before the Big Bang. It didn't exist. That's the point. You can't say it didn't. You can't say it didn't exist. It's a non-question.
So when we see non.
When we say life comes from non-life, what we mean is that life is an emergent property of non-living things. DNA is not alive, right? Molecules in your body aren't alive. But why are you alive? Because these molecules
DNA is not
with each other electrochemically.
DNA.
And life is this process that emerges from these interactions. Okay? So that's life from non-life.
Mike,
now, what's your contention here?
Yeah, so tell me, have you taken any biochemistry, any nutritional biochemistry classes, anything along the lines of biology, telling me that DNA is not alive, it's not a living thing, it's not a living structure? Do you understand when DNA methylates itself, it's got to have some type of process that's living? So tell me again that DNA is not alive, Mike.
Yeah, that you just proved me right? That's a process.
No, you don't prove anything right, Mike. You're a terrible debater.
Do you think DNA itself as a molecule is alive?
Answer my question. Is DNA living?
No. I literally just asked you to answer this too.
Mike, go research. Go do a Google search and say, is DNA living?
DNA is not alive. It's a molecule.
Tell me if DNA is water living, Mike?
No, it's a molecule, just like DNA.
Wait, so you're trying to tell me elements aren't living?
Yes, there's no such thing as living elements.
Hydrogen is not a living thing?
No.
So you're saying it's just matter.
Yes.
Mike, this isn't, we clearly understand that DNA creates living things. It is a
What?
living thing.
Wait, do you think hydrogen is alive?
Hydrogen is very much alive. It's a molecule that's living. Absolutely.
So you think molecules are living?
Depends on the molecules.
Which molecule is alive?
H2O would be a living molecule, a living structure.
Okay, great. Where's your source for this?
Yeah, you can look up, is water living? Yes, water is alive.
What's your source? What's your peer
All right,
reviewed
let me grab it for you. Let me grab it for you. Let me grab it.
Great. Yeah, DNA is not alive. DNA doesn't.
DNA creates life, correct?
DNA is a molecule of living things.
Does DNA create life, Mike?
It doesn't. Life isn't created. Life is emergent of DNA.
Of what? So what is life created from?
Life is emergent of electrochemistry.
I don't care if you keep responding. You keep repeating yourself. What is life emergent from then?
Electrochemistry in the body.
From what?
The interactions between molecules.
What molecules, Mike?
DNA and others.
Okay, so give me them.
DNA is one of the molecules of life, right? Amino acids, proteins, phosphates, these are all molecules of life that interact with each other and become
to create life, correct?
To yield life. And the creation doesn't exist, right? We're talking about emergence.
This is an emergent property.
Yes, life is emergent of non-living things.
Mike, when you look at DNA, when you look at these structures and these molecular structures, you have to understand that it creates life. This is the reason for life. If there was none of these DNA structures, if DNA was not a living, if DNA didn't create living things.
You had that source for water being alive?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, please just get it. And it seems as if you can't understand basic emergence. It looks like you don't know what emergence means.
You heard of electrolyzed water?
Yeah.
So that's not living water, Mike?
No, it's not alive. There's no such thing as living molecules.
Wait, so what is, you just told me that living is what? What?
Living is when you have the ability to...
No, answer my question. You said...
energetic processes that yield something reproducing. That's life.
No, you're now changing your stance. What is... I asked you what causes life, and you said what?
Interactions between molecules that electrochemically interact with each other.
Okay, so they electrochemically interact with each other. So is there not is this electrically chemical, or this these electrons within the water not causing this water to be living?
Does water reproduce?
I didn't ask about reproduction. Reproduction doesn't mean living.
Because that's what life means. Life is a reproduction process, right? That's what life means. It sustains the chemical process over time.
No, what is living? What is living compared to life? Mike, what are the two different definitions, living and life?
Water doesn't reproduce. It's not alive.
What is the difference between living and life, Mike?
Life reproduces dead things.
What is living?
Reproduction.
Living is reproduction, Mike. I'll give you the definition for you.
Reproduction of biological things. This is pretty embarrassing, actually, right? Like, the fact that you can't provide a single piece of evidence for your God is pretty
living sad. Just means alive. No, Mike, you have the burden of proof. There's only 7% of you in the world. You're such a small number that if we went to war, you would understand who would prevail. Good always prevails, Mike.
Stop it.
Yes, good always prevails.
Okay,
good always prevails.
Platform. Why does your God
living
alive?
means alive, Mike. So that means that water is alive. Absolutely. It's living water. If you've never heard of living water before, you have dead water and living water.
Give us your source.
Yes, absolutely.
You keep saying yes, but you never give it. You're not going to run away from this shit, right? You're going to give me a source or go away. I'm not like the other guys on this platform, right? You're going to give me fucking evidence or go. I'm not nice to you.
That's why you have 117 people in your live. You're literally the devil, Mike. We rebuke you in the name of Jesus. We're not scared of you. When we go to war, when we go to spiritual warfare, I promise you, you're going to be stomped.
Hey, platform, why does your God in Deuteronomy 22:28 say that grape is okay? Why does your God say grape is okay?
Because
Why does your God say grape is okay?
Yeah, if you understood anything about our God, everything in God's eyes is good. So everything that happens has to happen for a reason because God is
Oh,
all good. So everything in the, let me
so on
finish.
grape.
When it comes to God, everything for him has to happen in a specific way for his kingdom to
Okay.
be good.
Okay, great. So are you saying that every person that gets graped is good? That's good that happened?
You're doing the same thing Parker's doing, Mike. You're just not as good. You're just not as good as
Can you answer the
you're just
question,
not
buddy?
as good as Parker. This is why you get banned because
Can
you're a
you
weirdo.
can you answer the fucking
You're a
question?
weirdo. So
Can
you're
you
never
answer
going
the
to be as
question,
good as
sir?
Parker. You'll never be as
Is
good as
every
these big
grape
debaters. And I hope you
fair?
didn't end your job, Mike, to do these things.
Sir, is every grape good? Because God says it's good because it allows for him to achieve his greater plan. Yes or no? You don't know my other platform. You're not on my other platform, buddy. This is my secondary platform.
Mike, you're nobody. You're a nobody. You always will be a nobody.
Oh, okay. So all you have is hate and insults, and you pretend that you're a Christian.
Hate.
You pretend that you love, right? You pretend that Jesus loves us and that, oh, I'm a righteous man. And you're going to come up to my life as a piece of shit
We
and try to insult me
you're
with
scared.
nothing to show for it except for dumb fucking remarks that water's alive and no evidence. You are a fucking embarrassment. You are a fucking embarrassment. And yes, I am insulting you because you insulted me several times. It's fair right for me to insult your dumb ass. So either give a fucking argument, you fucking idiot, or go away. Please, please, right now, give an
In
argument
Jesus.
or go away.
We rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Fuck Jesus. Jesus was a piece of just like you. Give us evidence of God or go away.
You in the name of Jesus.
Okay. Next. He just wants the attention. Hey, what do you got? Hello? That's embarrassing. Hey, what do you got? Okay. Looks like nobody else actually has an argument. Yeah, so let me elaborate here. When it comes to life, life is an emergent property of non-living things. And this is hard to grasp and understand why people like the other guy didn't understand. But DNA itself is not a living thing. DNA is a molecule, a long strand of nucleobases and things like that. But what makes you alive is when these molecules interact with each other and they begin to replicate. And this process is sustained. It's a very good energetic process, very efficient process, and it's sustained in a way that it always is able to exist and thrive. It's like an ever-growing thread, like an ever-growing tree, right? Imagine a tree that's always growing. That's what life is, biologically speaking. It's merely a biochemical process, and that's it. You don't need God for that.